Everyone feared Vivian Reiss, until a toddler screamed in her elevator. The sound shattered the stillness like a dropped wine glass in a cathedral. Vivian's fingers twitched around the slim leather portfolio clutched at her side. Her stilettos clicked sharply as she pivoted inside the glass-paneled elevator, scanning for the source of the auditory assault. There, squatting on the elevator floor next to a collapsed sippy cup and an avalanche of Cheerios, was the culprit. Toddler. Curls wild. Nose running. Shirt smeared with what looked like spaghetti sauce and glitter. Vivian stared in horror. "Max!" A man's voice yelped as a figure dashed into the elevator behind the boy. "What did we say about screaming in elevators?" The elevator doors slid closed. Vivian's mouth opened but no sound came out. The man scooped the boy up with an apologetic smile and far too much ease for someone invading her personal sanctuary. Sorry. He gets excited about enclosed spaces." Vivian blinked. The toddler grinned. "Hi." She looked down her nose at the boy, then at the man, whose jeans were slightly torn at the knee. "What are you doing in this elevator?" "Heading up to 48, the man said, brushing cereal crumbs off his hoodie. "Visiting my aunt." Max pressed the wrong button, and here we are. Vivian's brows knitted. This is a private elevator. No guests. No children. No messes. "Well," he said cheerfully, "we're all three today." Clearly. Max held up a crayon like it was a sword. "I made a dragon." Vivian stepped back instinctively. "He's holding a weapon." The man looked at the crayon bemused. "It's purple." Vivian glanced at the elevator panel. Buttons for floors 3 through 51 were all lit. "Did he?" "Yeah," the man sighed. "He really likes buttons." The elevator jerked. Everyone stumbled. Then the lights flickered and everything stopped. Vivian's face paled. Leo, still holding Max, steadied himself. "Well, that's new." Vivian pressed the emergency button. "Security, this is Vivian Reiss. I'm stuck in elevator A with a child. And someone else." "Copy that, Ms. Reiss. Power fluctuation. Hang tight, we'll have you moving shortly." Vivian turned slowly toward the man. "Name?" "Leo Carter." She looked him up and down. "Occupation?" He hesitated. "It's complicated. Not reassuring." "I'm not dangerous. I'm a musician." "Statistically worse." Leo chuckled. "Is this an interrogation?" "I built this building," she said coolly. "I don't share elevators. Especially not with snot and sippy cups." Max, unfazed, pointed to her. "Are you a queen?" Vivian blinked. "What?" "You look like the queen in my book," Max declared. "But grumpier." Leo closed his eyes. "Max." Vivian exhaled slowly. "I am not a queen. But you have a castle. This is the tallest one ever." Leo mouthed sorry again. The elevator remained frozen between floors 27 and 28. Vivian paced. She was supposed to be in a boardroom 10 minutes ago, finalizing the acquisition of a biotech company she'd stalked for 6 months. This crayon-covered delay, was unacceptable. Max pulled a sticker from his pocket and slapped it on the elevator wall. It was shaped like a banana. Vivian twitched. Leo tried to peel it off. No, buddy, we don't decorate elevators." Max reached into his tiny backpack and pulled out a crumpled drawing. Vivian eyed it warily. He offered it to her. "For you." She didn't move. Leo whispered, "Take it. It's safer." She reached out with 2 fingers and accepted the drawing. It was abstract. A purple blob with what might have been fangs and a tiara. "It's a happy monster," Max explained proudly. "He eats mean faces." Vivian folded it. "Charming." Max beamed. "You need more drawings. Your walls are boring." Vivian opened her mouth, closed it again. Leo gave her a wry look. "First time someone's critiqued your taste?" Vivian shot him a glare. "Why are you even here? The penthouses are restricted. My aunt lives on 48. Temporary situation. Make it more temporary." Max started humming. Loudly. "Ufki." Vivian clenched her jaw. "Does he have a volume knob?" "Nope," Leo said. "Factory settings." Vivian pressed the emergency button again. "Status." "Almost there, Ms. Reiss." "Define almost." 3 minutes. Vivian looked at her watch. Each second felt like humiliation. Max pulled out another crayon. This one was blue. No, she said sharply. He began drawing a spiral on the mirrored wall. Leo lunged. Max. Too late. Vivian inhaled slowly. Is this a joke? He's 3, Leo said, prying the crayon from Max's hand. He's got no impulse control and no concept of luxury finishes. Neither do you apparently. Leo straightened. Look, I'm doing my best here. His mom, my sister, passed away last year. I'm new at this. Vivian froze. Leo looked away. We're just trying to make it through the week. Sorry if that messes with your empire. A beat passed. The elevator dinged. They had movement. Floor 29. 3031. Vivian turned her back to them, jaw tight. Max whispered. She's still grumpy. Leo scooped him up. Let's try not to get banned from the building. The doors opened at 51. Vivian stepped out. Her assistant rushed forward. Ma'am, we've stalled the meeting. Everyone's waiting in conference too. Vivian held up a hand. She turned back to Leo and Max. Her voice was cool, measured. You are not authorized to use this elevator. See to it you don't again. Leo raised a brow. Got it. Vivian hesitated, then walked away. Max called after her. Bye, Queen Boss. She didn't turn. The doors closed. Later that night, in her penthouse of glass and marble, Vivian sipped her evening espresso and opened her briefcase. Inside was the crumpled drawing. She didn't remember putting it there. The fang-tiara'd blob stared back at her. Vivian stared. Then with a sigh, she walked to the stainless steel trash bin. Paused. Then turned and placed the drawing on the edge of her pristine white fireplace mantel. It looked ridiculous. It looked warm. She told herself she'd throw it away in the morning. But the next morning it was still there. And so was something else. A hairline crack she hadn't noticed before. Not on the wall. In the silence. Vivian Reiss didn't do lingering. She walked through her penthouse exactly once each morning. Bedroom to kitchen. Kitchen to elevator. No detours. No distractions. Precision was the rhythm of her life, and every step served a purpose. But today that rhythm skipped. Because the child's drawing was still on her mantel. Vivian paused, espresso in hand. The fanged blob with a crown stared back at her from the white marble. Paper slightly curled. Purple lines vivid against the sterile white. The word love had been spelled backwards in one corner. She should have thrown it away. She didn't. She carried it with her down to the 51st floor, crammed in her planner like a landmine. Ms. Reiss, her assistant chirped as she entered the office. Morning reports are ready. Also, building security followed up. The man and child from yesterday? Names confirmed. Leo Carter and Max Carter. They're staying temporarily in penthouse 48B. Guest pass ends Friday. Vivian nodded. Her assistant continued. Would you like them banned from the private elevator? Vivian hesitated. No. Just restricted. No access above 45. No exceptions. Yes, ma'am. And install child-proof covers on the control panels. I want the button system changed by noon. Yes, ma'am. Vivian opened her tablet. Stock ticker scrolled. Board notes popped. She typed quickly, precisely, but a single phrase from the elevator echoed in her mind. You look like the queen but meaner. By lunch she was snapping at staff. By 3 p.m., she'd canceled 2 meetings without explanation. And by 6 p.m. she stood in the elevator once more. Alone, silent and halfway to home, when it dinged unexpectedly at floor 20. The doors slid open. Max stepped in. Covered in glitter. Vivian blinked. What are you? Then Leo appeared out of breath. Sorry. He hit the wrong button again. I tried to. Security is supposed to restrict. She began, reaching for the panel. Max waved. Hi, Queen Boss. Vivian exhaled slowly. Leo offered a sheepish smile. We're trying to respect the rules. I swear. But Max saw the button marked 51 foot, and decided it looked like a rocket ship. Max nodded. 51. Like Zoom. Vivian blinked. This was not happening again. The elevator continued climbing. Floor 21. 22. 23. Vivian stared at the child. Max stared back. Then held up something small. A drawing. She tried to look away. Too late. It was her. A stick figure woman with triangle heels, holding hands with a dinosaur. The dinosaur had a tie. Above them, a son wearing sunglasses. Vivian frowned. Is that supposed to be me? Yup. Max said proudly. You're smiling. But only a little. Leo tried to tug it back. Max. Vivian didn't reach for it. But she didn't stop him either. The elevator stopped again. Floor 24. Gloria stepped in. Vivian's housekeeper of 8 years. Gloria never entered through the front. Always service routes, always invisible. Until now. Ms. Reiss, she greeted. Vivian gave a curt nod. Gloria smiled at Max. Well, hello there. Max lit up. Hi, Miss Glow. Vivian turned. You two know each other? Gloria nodded casually.
We met yesterday on 48.
I was bringing up dry cleaning. Max shared his sandwich. Vivian blinked. You ate his sandwich? Gloria smiled. He insisted. Ham and jelly. Leo muttered. He's got experimental taste. Vivian's eyes narrowed. Gloria, you are aware I don't allow guests in the private elevator. Gloria's face didn't flinch. Yes, ma'am. Then why is he here again? Gloria looked at Max then back. Because sometimes rules bend for the right reasons. Vivian opened her mouth. Max sneezed. A spray of glitter shot from his shirt collar. Vivian took a step back. Is that confetti? Max grinned. From art class. Leo sighed. We were making glue dinosaurs. Vivian stared at the flecks on her navy suit. Do you know how much this costs? Max squinted. $1 million. Vivian turned to Leo. Why isn't he in daycare? Leo's jaw tightened. Because I can't afford it. And it's hard to find places that take kids after what happened with. He stopped himself. Vivian studied him. Max tugged her sleeve. Do you have toys? No. Do you have snacks? No. Do you have music? She hesitated. No. Max looked disappointed. That's not a fun castle. Vivian clenched her fists. This is not a castle. The elevator reached 51. Vivian exited first, heels clacking on marble. Behind her, Max shouted. By Queen Boss. I'll draw you a better smile next time. She didn't turn. But later that night when she returned home, another drawing was taped to her door. Vivian froze. It was her again. This time with bigger shoes. And a dog. The dog wore sunglasses. Underneath in shaky red letters. No more sad eyes. Gloria emerged from the hallway, carrying fresh laundry. Vivian held up the drawing. Did you let him do this? Gloria smiled faintly. He did it himself. Said it was important. Vivian exhaled. Security missed it. Gloria said nothing. Vivian hesitated. Did he say anything else? Gloria nodded. He said, she's lonely, but she doesn't know yet. The words struck harder than they should have. Vivian didn't reply. Gloria continued down the hall. The penthouse door clicked shut behind Vivian. Silence. She walked to the kitchen, poured herself a glass of mineral water, sat at the counter. The drawing lay beside her, red letters still fresh. No more sad eyes. She hadn't cried in over a decade. But that night, sleep came later than usual. And when it did, it was full of laughter that wasn't hers. Of a child's voice calling her Queen Boss. And of a home that finally had noise. Vivian Reiss didn't knock on doors. She had people who did that for her. But on Thursday morning, she found herself standing outside Gloria's apartment on the 47th floor, holding a drawing with sunglasses and stick figures, taped to her door the night before like an unsolicited greeting card. She held it in 2 fingers, as if it might be contagious. Gloria opened the door. Morning, Ms. Reiss, she said evenly. Vivian handed her the drawing. This was on my door. Gloria looked at it. Smiled. He made another? I'm not running a daycare center, Vivian snapped. Of course not. I want this behavior discouraged. Gloria nodded. Shall I tell him not to care? Vivian's eyes narrowed. I'm serious. So is he. Vivian turned to leave. Then stopped. Does he always draw people? Only the ones he likes. Vivian didn't respond. She returned to her elevator. Press 51. Paused. then pulled the drawing back out, folded it once, tucked it into her coat pocket. That afternoon Leo showed up at her office. Uninvited. Again. Her assistant tried to stop him. Failed. Leo walked in holding a paper airplane and a crumpled envelope. "I'm not here to cause trouble," he said quickly. "I just thought maybe Max left something behind." Vivian didn't look up from her screen. "You broke 3 building policies just stepping in here." Leo held up the paper. "He made this for you." He cried when he thought it was gone.
Vivian sighed.
Children cry. Leo studied her. "You weren't always like this, were you?" "Excuse me. This fortress. The rules. The silence. No music. No drawings." Vivian stood slowly. "You think you know me?" "No," Leo said gently. "But Max keeps asking if you have a baby, because he thinks you'd be a good mom. Which is wild, considering you terrify most adults." Vivian froze. Leo instantly regretted it. "I didn't mean, get out. I said get out." He did. Vivian sat down, stared at the paper airplane on her desk. Its wing read, "For Queen Boss." "You forgot your smile." That night, Vivian stood in front of the mirror in her penthouse, removed her earrings, wiped off her lipstick, looked into her own eyes, then walked into the music room, a place she hadn't entered in almost 20 years. The grand piano stood there like a ghost, covered in a thin sheet. Silent. She pulled off the cover, sat down. Her fingers hovered above the keys, then retreated. She stood, left the room, didn't look back. The next morning Gloria was unusually quiet. She entered with breakfast, placed the tray on the table, and hesitated. Vivian raised an eyebrow. "What?"
Il est Maxine.
Vivian's voice dropped. "What?" "Yesterday. He wandered up while I was cleaning. He was quiet. Just sat in your office." "You what?" Gloria didn't flinch. "He didn't touch anything. He just looked around. Said you must be so busy being queen." Vivian stormed to her office. Stopped cold. The desk had been rearranged. Not damaged. Just changed. Sticky notes had been stacked into a pyramid. Her paperweights were now tiny forts, and in the center of her pristine desk was a crayon drawing of her piano. Underneath, "Do you miss the sound?" Vivian sat down, ran her fingers over the drawing, closed her eyes. She didn't fire Gloria. She didn't say anything at all. But later that evening, she took the elevator to 48. Uninvited. Knocked on Leo's door. He answered in pajama pants and a Batman t-shirt. "Ms. Reiss, do you make a habit of breaking into executive offices?" Leo blinked. Gloria said it was okay. "It wasn't. I'm sorry. Max was just curious." "I know." She paused. "I came to return this." She held out the paper airplane. Leo took it carefully. "Thank you," he said softly. "He asked if I had a baby." Leo nodded. "He asks a lot of things. Sometimes too much." Vivian hesitated. "I did." The words dropped like weights. Leo looked up. Vivian's face was stone. "A long time ago." "I'm sorry." She nodded. "So am I." Max peeked from behind Leo's legs. "Hi." Vivian looked down. "You like dragons?" "Yeah." "You know they're not real, right?" Max gasped. "They're very real." Leo chuckled. "Now you've done it." Vivian knelt slowly. "What would you do if you saw one?" Max considered. "Make him spaghetti. Then ride him." She blinked. Max handed her a green crayon. "You can draw one if you want." Vivian took it. Surprised herself. "Maybe later." Max grinned. "Okay. But don't forget wings. They need wings." Vivian stood. "Good night, Max." "Good night, Queen Boss." She turned to leave. Leo called after her. "Thanks for not yelling." Vivian didn't answer. But she smiled. Just a little. And that night, back in her penthouse, she placed the green crayon on her desk. Right next to the drawing of the piano. The fortress was still intact. But something small had gotten through the walls. Vivian didn't believe in ghosts, but walking into her office that Friday evening felt like stepping into a haunted nursery. She had only been gone for 90 minutes. A short, private dinner meeting 2 floors down. Just long enough to approve a new cybersecurity acquisition. Her schedule was airtight. Her penthouse even tighter. But now, standing just inside the threshold of her sleek, all-white home office, she froze. Something was wrong. No alarms had gone off. Nothing broken. But everything had shifted. Her chair was turned slightly askew. Her marble desk, normally immaculate, was now covered in something. Crayon trails. Bright blue and green sticky notes rearranged into what looked like a city skyline. Her nameplate had googly eyes taped onto the V in Vivian. And on the wall, a massive piece of butcher paper had been taped across her built-in bookcase. Drawn across it in sweeping green strokes. Dinoland for Queen Boss, she stared. The dinosaur in the center had her face. Vivian turned, her jaw clenched. Footsteps. Bear. Running. Then Max holding a glitter-covered toy T-Rex. "You're back," he yelled, arms open like she'd returned from war. She didn't move. Behind him, Gloria appeared in the hallway, looking half guilty, half proud. Vivian raised one sharp eyebrow. "Explain." Gloria cleared her throat. "You had your dinner meeting. I was cleaning." Max wandered up. I may have let him explore. He was quiet. Focused. He drew on my walls. "It's paper," Gloria said gently. "It's taped. No damage." Vivian turned back to Max, who was now rearranging her decorative hourglasses into some kind of dino battle. "Max," she said carefully, "do you know what this room is?" He beamed. "Yes. It's your thinking throne. My office. This is where I work. Not play." Max pointed at the paper dinosaur wearing a tie. "But you look like a boss dinosaur, so I made you your own kingdom." Vivian pinched the bridge of her nose. "This is unacceptable." Gloria stepped forward. "I'll clean everything." He meant well. "I'm sure he meant well," Vivian said coldly. "But intent doesn't undo chaos." Max looked confused. "I didn't break anything." "That's not the point." Max looked down. Whispered. "Sorry." Vivian turned sharply. "Where's Leo?" "I'm here." His voice came from behind her. Leo stepped into the room breathless, holding a canvas tote and looking like he had sprinted the stairs. "I came as soon as I got Gloria's message." "You left him alone?" "I left him with someone I trust." Vivian's eyes blazed. "In my private space." Leo stepped forward. He thought it was a surprise. "He said you've never had a kingdom." "It's not a kingdom. It's a business empire." "And he thought that meant you deserved a castle." Vivian's lips tightened. Leo exhaled. "Look, I get it. You value control. Structure. Order. Max? He's the opposite of all that." She said nothing. "He didn't come here to ruin things. He came here because he likes you." "That's irrelevant." Leo studied her. "Is it?" Vivian turned away. Behind her, Max was now sitting cross-legged on the floor, coloring quietly. A green crayon in his hand. A second dinosaur beside him, made from her gold paper clips. Vivian's voice softened, barely. "He can't come up here anymore." Leo nodded. "Understood. I mean it." "So do I." She looked over her shoulder. Max was humming again. A little tune. Vivian recognized it. It was the same lullaby she used to play on the piano. The one her mother wrote. The one she hadn't heard in decades. Leo followed her gaze. "He hums when he's happy." Vivian swallowed hard. "Did someone teach him that song?" Leo shook his head. "He made it up. Said it came from a dream castle in the sky." Vivian turned away. "I want everything cleaned," she said quietly. "Back to normal." Leo nodded. He crossed the room, gently picked up Max, who yawned and nuzzled into his neck. As they moved to the door, Vivian's voice followed. "And Gloria?" "Yes, ma'am." "Don't do it again." "Yes, ma'am." They left. Vivian was alone again. She stared at the wall, at the paper dinosaur, and the stick figure version of herself with a cape. She almost ripped it down, but something stopped her. Instead, she sat in her chair and noticed something. A small green dinosaur figurine, left on the corner of her desk. Its eyes were crooked, one leg broken, but it stood. She didn't move it, didn't throw it away. She simply watched it. and then quietly reached for her stylus and started scrolling through emails. But her eyes kept drifting back. The next morning, Vivian came downstairs to find Gloria in the kitchen, making coffee. Vivian said nothing. Gloria poured a second cup without asking. Set it on the counter. Vivian hesitated. Did he leave the dinosaur on purpose? Gloria smiled faintly. Max doesn't do anything on accident. Vivian sipped. He left it here. In my space. He probably thought it would keep you company. Vivian exhaled. He's 3. Gloria raised an eyebrow. So were you once. Vivian stared at her. Then left. But as the elevator doors closed, she reached into her coat pocket and felt something small and hard. The dinosaur. She hadn't even realized she'd picked it up. The green dinosaur stayed on Vivian's desk for 3 days. Not out of sentiment. Not out of affection. But because every time she reached to throw it away, something pulled her hand back. It wasn't fear. It was memory. The toy stared at her with mismatched googly eyes and one chipped foot, forever frozen in mid-roar. It didn't belong in her pristine world of steel and glass and silence, but somehow it had made a home there. Like Max, Vivian told herself she'd toss it tomorrow. But tomorrow kept moving. On Wednesday afternoon, Leo showed up at the front desk of Reiss Holdings with a delivery envelope. No contact, he said to the receptionist. Just give this to Vivian. He turned to leave. Didn't expect her to be walking out of the elevator at that exact moment. Their eyes met. Leo, she said, voice neutral. Vivian. He returned, equally measured. She gestured to the envelope. Another drawing? No. Just a thank you note. From Max. He says his dinosaur slept better at your place. She blinked. He smirked. Don't ask. He thinks the toy misses you. Vivian exhaled. That child is imaginative. That child's not wrong. Vivian raised an eyebrow. Leo motioned toward the elevator. Can I come up? Just for a minute. Silence. Then, 1. The elevator ride was quiet, except for the low hum of electricity and the distant whir of the city outside the glass walls. Leo glanced sideways. You know, Max thinks you're building a spaceship. Vivian frowned. Excuse me. He says the penthouse looks like a launch pad. He's convinced you're training to be the first queen boss on Mars. Vivian tried not to smile. Failed. Just a flicker. But Leo caught it. You should do that more. What? That thing with your face.
Vivian sighed.
Smiling is inefficient. Yeah, but it's honest. The elevator dinged. They stepped into her home. Leo froze. His eyes were on the piano. You play. Vivian's voice hardened. No. It's beautiful. It belonged to my mother. Leo approached slowly. You keep it tuned? I keep everything in this house tuned. He touched the cover gently. Ever think about playing again? No, why not? Because the last time I did, someone died. Leo turned. Vivian's face was blank. But her hands were shaking. He didn't push. Okay, he said quietly. Sorry I asked. She walked past him into the kitchen. You wanted water? He followed. Actually, Max wanted to ask if you'd be home on Friday. Why? He's planning a mission. And he needs your elevator. Vivian blinked. My what? His words. The Queen Boss's rocket ride to the sky. Vivian exhaled slowly. You do realize I'm running a multi-billion-dollar firm. Yes. And he thinks that's your side hustle. She shook her head. Unbelievable. He also wants to know if you like blue or green better. Why? He's making something. Won't say what. Vivian hesitated. Green. Leo grinned. Knew it. She crossed her arms. How? You kept the dinosaur. A beat of silence. Then she asked quietly. You saw. I figured. They stood in silence. The city buzzed behind them. Finally, Vivian turned to the glass wall. Why did you take him in? My sister. Didn't leave a lot of options. Max was all I had left. And I didn't know what the hell I was doing. But you figured it out. Still figuring. Every day. He paused. But you helped. Vivian looked at him. Leo continued softer now. You let him draw. You let him climb into your world. That's not nothing. Vivian glanced at the dinosaur on her desk, then back to him. I didn't let him, she said. Leo smiled. That's what makes it better. That night, Vivian found herself in the music room again. She hadn't meant to go in, but somehow her feet carried her there. She stood before the piano, lifted the cover, sat down, didn't play, but she hummed, just a little. The same lullaby Max had hummed, and somewhere inside her something softened. On Friday morning a new drawing appeared on her door. This one was folded neatly. On the front, top secret, for the queen boss only inside, a map, crayon drawn, jagged lines, arrows pointing to mission base and launch button, and a sketch of her elevator. In the corner, please wear green. She didn't smile, but she didn't throw it away either. At 4 p.m. her doorbell rang. She never answered the door herself, but this time she did. Max stood there in a cardboard box spaceship covered in stickers. Leo stood behind him trying not to laugh. Max saluted. Queen boss, are you ready? Vivian stared, then nodded. 1 minute. She disappeared inside, returned wearing a dark green blazer. Max gasped. You did it. Leo mouthed wow. Vivian straightened. Let's launch. They stepped into the elevator. Max pressed every button again. Vivian didn't stop him. This time she laughed. Just once, but loud enough for Max to hear. His smile lit up the whole elevator. Back in her office, hours later, Vivian stared at the desk, at the dinosaur, at the new drawing Max had left behind. It was her again. But this time she wasn't standing alone. She had one hand on a piano, and the other holding Max's. And beneath them in blocky green letters, "This is your castle now." Vivian folded the paper, placed it next to the green crayon, and whispered almost to herself, maybe it is. There were two things Vivian Reiss never did: cry, cancel. Her schedule was sacred, more guarded than state secrets. Not even a minor earthquake during a board meeting had made her flinch. So when her assistant entered her office on Monday morning, holding a clipboard like a shield, something felt off. Ms. Reiss, she said cautiously. Vivian looked up from her laptop. Yes. There's a conflict between your 3 p.m. quarterly review and... Move the review. The assistant blinked. Move it. Vivian nodded, typing rapidly. Reschedule it for next week. Is everything all right? Yes. A pause. Any reason for the change? Vivian looked up. There was a flicker behind her eyes. A glimmer of something unspeakable. I have a launch. 3 hours later, Max stood in her office again, dressed as a dinosaur astronaut. Vivian had a green silk scarf tied around her neck. It matched the crayon color she still kept in her desk drawer. Unsharpened, untouched, but somehow irreplaceable. This is Mission Dino Day 2.0, Max declared proudly, slapping a sticker onto her coffee table. This time we land on planet Smileville. Leo followed behind, carrying snacks and a collapsible play tunnel. He looked slightly winded. I tried to talk him into just watching a movie, he said, but he insisted. Vivian gestured to the floor. We don't watch. We explore. Leo raised an eyebrow. You sure you're not secretly raising him? Please. I barely tolerate myself. Leo laughed. Could have fooled me. By 4 p.m. the office was covered in constellations made of post-it notes, cereal scattered like space debris, and a T-Rex plush peeking out of Vivian's designer handbag. Somewhere between Max's third lap around the play tunnel and a dramatic reading of Where the Wild Things Are, Vivian did something she hadn't done in years. She laughed. Loud. Open. Leo heard it from the kitchen and froze. She was kneeling on the floor, crisscross applesauce, letting Max wrap glow-in-the-dark bracelets around her wrists like royal cuffs. You are now Queen of the Moon, he declared. Vivian grinned. I accept. Leo leaned against the doorframe. You're different when he's around. Vivian looked up. Less terrifying? Leo nodded. That. And more. Unstable. Human. She paused. Is that a compliment? He stepped forward. I'm not sure yet. Vivian picked up a juice box. He said the piano sings. Leo's smile softened. He thinks everything sings. He said I used to too. Leo sat across from her. Did you? Vivian didn't answer right away. Max was now constructing a moon tower with empty tissue boxes. I played once, she said finally. A lot. Leo waited. Until my mother died. After that, the sound just stopped being beautiful. Leo didn't speak. Vivian continued. I kept the piano for show, to prove I wasn't broken. But it stopped working the moment she left. Maybe you stopped letting it. She looked at him sharply. Leo met her eyes. Music doesn't leave us. We walk away from it. A long silence passed. Then Max gasped. I found a secret door. Vivian and Leo turned. Max was standing near her bookshelf, one hand tugging at the edge of a narrow drawer hidden behind the wood paneling. Vivian's breath caught. No, Max, too late. He pulled it open. Inside, sheet music. Old yellowed handwritten. Moonlight for Mama. Max read, sounding it out. Did you write this? Vivian stood, frozen. Leo stepped back, giving her space. Vivian walked slowly toward the drawer. Looked down at the folded pages. Her mother's handwriting stared back at her. I haven't seen this in 20 years. Max looked up at her. Is it a lullaby? She nodded. Will you play it? Vivian hesitated. Then softly. Maybe one day. Max smiled. Tomorrow. Vivian almost laughed. Leo leaned in. Don't make promises you can't keep. I'm not, she said. I'm hoping I can. That evening, after Max had fallen asleep mid-snack in Leo's arms, Vivian helped gather the mess. Cereal, crayons, dino figures, pillow forts. I can handle this, Leo said. Vivian reached down anyway. As she picked up a sticker-covered juice box, their hands touched. Just for a moment. Neither pulled away. Leo looked at her. She didn't look back. But she didn't let go. Later that night, Vivian sat alone at the piano. Not to play. Just to sit. She unfolded the music, ran her fingers across the notes like she was reading a lost language. The house was quiet. But her heart wasn't. And when she finally closed the piano lid again, she whispered, soon. Vivian Reiss didn't negotiate with chaos. She built her empire on rules. Boundaries. Control. But chaos came with crayon-stained fingers and a backpack full of stickers. So she made a deal. Once a week, she said sternly, crouched beside Max at the center of her marble-floored office. Only Mondays. 1 hour. Structured play. Quiet volume. No glitter. Max blinked up at her mid-dino roar. What's structured mean? Vivian thought. It means we take turns. Max considered. Okay. But I get the first turn every time. Vivian raised an eyebrow. He added quickly, because I'm the smallest. Vivian didn't argue. Leo watched from the doorway, arms folded, amusement written all over his face. You just got negotiated down by a preschooler, he said. Vivian stood. He's persistent. Leo grinned. Takes after someone. Thus Monday Dino Day was born. At exactly 3 p.m. each Monday, Max would arrive, suitably supervised, and set up a play zone in the sunken living room of Vivian's penthouse. It was their agreed-upon launch pad. He brought dinosaurs, Legos, picture books, and questions. So many questions. What's a hostile takeover? Why do people wear ties if they hate them? Do you have a bedtime? Do CEOs poop? Vivian fielded each with the same level of seriousness she gave to quarterly forecasts. Somehow that made Max love her more. On the third Monday, Max discovered her architectural blueprints. These are your castles? He asked, pointing to the folded designs on her glass table. Vivian nodded. They're my buildings. Before they're built. Max gasped. So you're like a dragon who makes real castles. Something like that. He unrolled one blueprint and laid plastic dinosaurs on top. This is the jungle. And this building is their food place. Vivian watched, fascinated, as he transformed years of zoning permits into a prehistoric theme park. You can't put the T-Rex on the parking structure, she muttered. Why not? Zoning violations. Max giggled. Vivian almost did too. That night after Max had left, Vivian found a note under her coffee cup. Dear Queen Boss, thank you for letting me roar inside. I think you're braver than a T-Rex. Love, Max. She didn't throw it away. She placed it in the top drawer of her desk, next to the green crayon, right above her mother's sheet music. Word spread quickly, first among assistants, then mid-level execs, then board members. Vivian canceled her 3 p.m.? Again. For what? Personal time. With a child. By Friday, 2 board members had booked a private lunch. They met at a rooftop restaurant overlooking the skyline Vivian had helped design. She's slipping, one said, stirring his espresso. She missed 2 earnings briefings this quarter. More smiles lately. Less fire. Is she distracted? The other nodded. She's softer. Dangerous. The first one murmured. Softer CEOs don't survive. Vivian didn't know it yet. But eyes were watching. That weekend Leo invited her to a park. Max wants you to see the dinosaur slides, he said over the phone. I don't do parks. You do now. Dino Day rules. Vivian showed up wearing all black, oversized sunglasses and confusion. Max ran to her, face sticky with juice. This is the jungle slide. And that's the lava pit. Vivian surveyed the scene. Children screaming, bees buzzing, chaos everywhere. I see, she said tightly. Leo handed her a juice box. For courage. She didn't take it, but she didn't leave. Later, while Max climbed a rope net, Leo sat beside her on the bench. You're good with him. Vivian scoffed. He's the only one who doesn't lie. You scared me, you know, Leo said quietly. When? The day we met. You were pure ice. Vivian looked straight ahead. I prefer it that way. Leo turned. Do you still? She didn't answer. But she didn't walk away either. That night, back in her penthouse, Vivian stood before her piano. She placed a single page of music on the stand. Didn't sit. Didn't play. But the lid stayed open. It was a beginning. Monday came again. Max brought a new dinosaur. This one's special, he said. He protects castles. Vivian nodded. A security consultant? Max grinned. A bodyguard. She let him sit on her lap while they rearranged her company's next headquarters blueprint. Can I come here forever? He asked softly. Vivian paused. We'll see. Max frowned. I like your castle. It has good smells. Vivian raised an eyebrow. Smells. Like cinnamon. And piano. And thinking. She actually laughed. Just as Gloria entered with tea. But Gloria wasn't alone. Behind her, standing awkwardly near the door, was Alex Renner, one of her junior partners. And he looked pale. Ma'am, he said, you need to see something. Vivian stood. What is it? Alex hesitated. There's an article. A blog. Speculation. She took the tablet. On screen. Is Vivian Reiss softening? The Queen of Steel goes warm and fuzzy underneath, a grainy photo of her laughing in the park. With Max. With Leo. Vivian's face went still. Max tugged her sleeve. What's wrong? She didn't answer. But her hands tightened around the tablet. Leo arrived seconds later, breathless. I just saw. Vivian stared at him. How did they find us? Leo shrugged. It's the internet. People have phones. Vivian looked away. Her castle was leaking, and she didn't know if she was ready for the flood. The headlines came faster than the damage control team could delete them. Ice Queen cracks? Vivian Reiss spotted with child in Central Park. Billionaire secret heir? Reiss seen cuddling toddler. From boardroom to babysitter. Is Reiss losing her edge? The photo was grainy, slightly out of focus but unmistakable. Vivian Reiss. Sitting on a park bench. Laughing. And beside her, a small boy in a dinosaur hoodie, climbing into her lap. The internet did what it always did, speculated, twisted, sensationalized. But the part that hurt the most? The board meeting. I need clarity, said Milton Banks, the oldest man in the room. Is this your child? Vivian stared across the glossy walnut conference table, her face blank. No. Then who is he? Vivian paused. A visitor. Visitor, echoed Celeste Huang, chief legal officer. As in unofficial? Vivian didn't answer. Another voice chimed in. You've missed 4 key meetings in the last month. I've rescheduled. But never before. We're concerned, Celeste added. Not just about your time but your judgment. Vivian's jaw clenched. You're questioning my leadership over a child? We're questioning the distraction. Another screen lit up. Her assistant had found more. Blog threads, forums, employee group chats. All speculating. She's changed. She smiles now. It's weird. Is she okay? Maybe she's finally human. Vivian stood. Meeting's over. No one stopped her. She stormed back into her penthouse like a storm. Max was there, of course, in the middle of the floor with crayons spread like confetti, drawing what looked like a helicopter with 4 wings. Gloria brought in cocoa from the kitchen. Vivian didn't speak. Leo stepped out from the hallway. Saw the news, he said quietly. Vivian didn't look at him. It's nothing. It's not nothing to them. To you. Leo exhaled. No. But maybe it should be to you. Vivian finally turned. You think I can just ignore it? My entire career is precision. Image. Power. Leo folded his arms. And now it's what? Compassion? Vulnerability? That's weakness to them. To this industry? Yes. Max looked up. Are we still doing Monday Dino Day? Vivian didn't answer. Leo took Max's hand. Maybe we should give her some space. Max frowned. Did I do something wrong? No, buddy. But Vivian didn't correct him. And that silence cracked everything. An hour later, Vivian sat alone at her desk. The article was still open on her screen. The picture of her smiling Max mid-laugh beside her. For a moment she had looked light. Like someone else. Like someone she used to be. Until her empire reminded her who she was. Gloria knocked gently. I can bring tea if you want. Vivian turned sharply. I told you I didn't want interruptions. I thought you might need. Did you let them take that photo? Gloria blinked. What? In the park. You were there. I didn't, of course not. You've been letting him roam my floors. Sneaking him in. Into my life. Gloria's voice softened. You let him in too. I did not ask for this. No, Gloria said. But maybe you needed it. That was the wrong answer. Vivian stood. Fury rising in her chest like fire. You're done. Gloria blinked. Excuse me. You're fired. Max, who had wandered back in with a drawing, froze. The crayon dropped from his hand. Leo stormed into the room. You what? Vivian's voice cracked. She crossed the line. She saved you. I don't need saving. Leo's voice dropped to a whisper. No, you just need silence. Power. Obedience. The illusion of being untouchable. Vivian didn't flinch. Max looked between them. What's happening? Vivian looked at him. He was holding a drawing. It was of her. But this time she was crying. She didn't know when he'd seen her that way. But he had. Leo picked up Max. We'll go. Good, Vivian snapped. Leo's eyes darkened. You think shutting the door again will protect you? All it does is make the silence louder. Vivian didn't reply. They left. The door clicked shut. And the quiet returned. But it wasn't peace. It was absence. Hours passed. Night fell. Vivian stood alone in the music room. The piano lid was open. The sheet music waiting. She sat. Pressed a single key. Middle C. Then another. A minor chord. Then stopped. She couldn't do it. Not tonight. Not alone. She stood. Walked back to the living room. On the coffee table was Max's drawing. She hadn't noticed before. It was her. In the middle of a castle made of bricks. Each brick had a word. Strong, cold, busy, smart, alone. But one hand was reaching out, toward a dinosaur drawn in green. Underneath. Don't forget us. Vivian stared. Then picked up the drawing. Folded it gently. Pressed it to her chest. She didn't cry. But her breath caught. And for a moment, the queen boss of the skyline stood completely still. Not with power. But with grief. And maybe regret. Vivian Reiss had always loved silence. Until now. Now it rang in her ears like punishment. Every step echoed. Every elevator ding felt like a bell tolling. For 3 days the penthouse remained untouched. No sticky fingers on the glass. No drawings taped to doors. No green crayons wedged into couch cushions. Just emptiness. And dust. Max and Leo were gone. Not gone as in downstairs. Gone as in vanished. No more guest pass on file. No forwarding address. No goodbye. Even Gloria's key had been returned, neatly placed on the counter, next to a folded apron and a small handwritten card. He never meant to break anything, but he fixed a lot more than he knew. Vivian read the note. Twice. Then crumpled it. But didn't throw it away. She didn't throw anything away anymore. That evening she walked into the music room. The piano waited. So did the silence. Vivian sat. Unfolded the sheet music. Moonlight for Mama. She placed her fingers on the keys. The first note trembled. The second wavered. The third broke open something inside her. She kept going. Eyes closed. Hands moving. And for the first time in 2 decades, the penthouse filled with music. Not perfection. But something better. Something true. Afterward she didn't stand. Just sat there, hands limp, tears threatening but not falling. The room smelled like wax and memory. Outside the city kept moving. Inside she stayed still. The next morning, a meeting request appeared on her calendar. Subject: Emergency Governance Session Location. Reiss Holdings Executive Boardroom Time. Thursday, 9 a.m. Agenda. CEO Succession Planning Discussion. Vivian stared at the screen. Then closed her laptop. Didn't respond. Didn't cancel. She just stared. That afternoon the doorman called. Ms. Reiss? You have a package. I didn't order anything. It was dropped off. No return address. Vivian rode the elevator down herself. The box was small. Brown. Taped at the edges. She took it upstairs. Opened it slowly. Inside. A familiar green dinosaur. A drawing. And a note. The dinosaur had been carefully cleaned. The chipped foot repaired with tape. One googly eye replaced with a sticker. The drawing showed her castle again. But this time cracks lined the walls. And inside tiny figures danced. Laughed. Underneath. We didn't mean to ruin your castle. We just wanted to visit. The note was short. Vivian, you once said you didn't ask for this. Neither did we. But maybe we all needed it anyway. She sat on the floor, held the box in her lap, and let her head fall forward. No sobs. No wailing. Just a quiet exhale. Like someone releasing the last breath of a war they never wanted to fight. That night Vivian did something she hadn't done since college. She wrote a letter. By hand. Dear Max, you said I looked like a queen. But I wasn't. I was just a woman with walls so high, no one could hear her scream. You climbed them without asking. And I'm glad you did. I miss your drawings. Even the ones with too many teeth. Thank you for the dinosaur. Tell him the castle is quieter without him. But not better. Never better. Love, Queen Boss. She didn't send it. But she placed it in the same drawer as the green crayon. Next to the music. Next to the photo of her mother she'd taken out for the first time in 10 years. Thursday arrived. She wore black. Not because she was mourning, but because it felt like armor. The boardroom was full. The air tense. Before we begin, said Celeste. Ms. Reiss, do you have anything to say? Vivian stood. Her voice was clear. But not cold. I built this company from nothing. Not with charm. Not with family. With results. Nods around the table. I protected it. At the cost of every piece of myself. More nods. But recently, she paused. Something changed. A flicker of discomfort. I found a child in my elevator. Uninvited. Loud. Messy. Polite chuckles. And he broke everything I thought was unbreakable. Silence. Vivian continued. And for the first time in my adult life, I'm grateful. More silence. Fire me if you want. But I won't apologize for rediscovering what it means to be alive. No one moved. She gathered her notes. Turned to leave. Vivian, Celeste said softly. What are you going to do? Vivian didn't turn around. I'm going to find what matters. And then she walked out. Straight-backed. Still the queen, but no longer made of steel. Vivian Reiss had never been to Queens. She'd flown to Dubai for lunch. Signed million-dollar deals on private jets. Walked red carpets in Shanghai, Milan, Tokyo. But Queens? Queens was unfamiliar. She stepped out of the black town car in a pressed navy coat, heels silent against the cracked pavement. Before her stood a modest brick apartment building, paint peeling at the corners, window boxes full of plastic flowers. Children's laughter echoed faintly from the alley. Vivian adjusted her scarf and walked in. Apartment 3B was unlocked. Not careless, just welcoming. Music spilled into the hallway. Live, acoustic, off-key, and joyful. She stepped inside. The room was warm, not in temperature, in spirit. Bright posters covered the walls. Instruments lay in open cases. Ukuleles, small violins, banged-up guitars with stickers that said "Play loud" and "Music heals." Leo was crouched in the middle of the living room, surrounded by a circle of kids, ages 4 to 10, singing a sloppy, charming rendition of "You Are My Sunshine." Max stood in the center, holding a tambourine. He spotted her first. His eyes widened. "Queen Boss." Leo turned. For a moment everything paused. Vivian tried to speak. Leo rose slowly, brushing glitter from his sleeve. "Vivian." She looked around. "This is different." "It's ours," he said simply. She nodded. "I didn't expect you to come." "I didn't expect to want to," she replied. Max ran to her, hugged her legs. "Did you miss me?" She knelt, hugged him back. "More than I should admit." He grinned. "You brought the dinosaur?" She reached into her coat, pulled it out. "Repaired. Clean." Max gasped. "You fixed his foot." Vivian smiled. He missed his partner. Leo watched. Quiet. Unmoving. Vivian stood. Faced him. "I made a mistake." He folded his arms. "Which one?" "Pushing you out." "Pushing him out." "Pushing everything out." Leo studied her. "I thought I needed silence," she continued. "But it turns out silence is lonely." He nodded slowly. "I know." She took a breath. "I'm not here to fix anything, or buy my way back in. I'm just asking." "For what?" "To spend 1 hour with Max." Leo blinked. "Now." She nodded. He looked down at Max. "What do you think, bud?" Max beamed. "Only if she lets me sing her a bedtime song." Vivian laughed. "Deal." They walked to the park across the street. Not the fancy kind. Just a swing set, a crooked slide, and a creaky bench. Vivian sat. Max climbed up beside her, juice box in hand. "I made a new song," he announced. "Oh, wanna hear?" "Absolutely." Max sang softly about dinosaurs, castles, glitter, and pancakes. It didn't rhyme. The tune changed 3 times. But it was perfect. Vivian clapped. "Encore." Max grinned. "You're a good listener." "No one's ever said that before." Max leaned against her shoulder. "Are you still Queen Boss?" Vivian looked down. "Only if you still want me to be." He nodded sleepily. "But now you're also Queen Mom." She blinked. "That's a big title. You can have both." Vivian swallowed hard. Leo joined them 10 minutes later. "Someone's falling asleep mid-juice." Vivian stood. "Can I?" He hesitated, then nodded. Back in the apartment, Max lay curled on a worn couch under a blanket of cartoon dinosaurs. Vivian knelt beside him. She hummed, then quietly sang. The same lullaby her mother had written. "Moonlight for Mama." Max's breathing slowed. Vivian brushed his curls back. Stood. Leo waited in the doorway, arms crossed. "You sang." She nodded. "I haven't heard that melody since my mom played it. Maybe 5 years old." Vivian smiled softly. "Then we're even." Leo stepped closer. "Why'd you come back?" She hesitated. "Because your world is messy, but it's real." He didn't respond. Just opened the fridge. "You hungry?" Vivian blinked. "You cook?" "No. But I burn grilled cheese less than I used to." She laughed. Leo turned. And for the first time in a long time, so did she. Toward something. Someone. A new beginning. When Vivian Reiss walked into the 51st floor of Reiss Holdings that Monday morning, no one knew what to expect. She wore emerald green. No black. No navy. And she smiled at the receptionist. The receptionist nearly dropped her coffee. Vivian kept walking. Her heels still echoed. Her posture still commanded. But something was different. Lighter. Like the steel had been softened. Like the queen boss had found something worth kneeling for. In the boardroom the partners were waiting. Papers. Charts. Projections. They were ready for war. But Vivian didn't bring a sword. She brought music. Literally. A flash drive in hand. I won't be staying long, she said, standing at the head of the table. I just came to announce a decision. No one breathed. I'm redirecting 10% of the innovation fund, she continued, into a new initiative. Milton blinked. A new what? A scholarship, she said, smiling faintly. For kids. Celeste raised an eyebrow. Kids. Vivian nodded. The loud ones. The messy ones. The ones who draw on walls and build kingdoms out of couch cushions. Silence. The fund will support community arts, early education and creative development programs. Milton frowned. That's not a return on investment. Vivian met his eyes. You're wrong. They're the return. Celeste cleared her throat. Vivian, is this about? It's about balance, she cut in. About using this empire for more than just skyscrapers. The room was stunned. Vivian reached into her folder and handed out copies of the proposal. Vote on it if you want. But I've already approved it. If it costs me my seat, so be it. Then she turned. Oh, and Gloria? She opened the door. Gloria walked in, wearing her pressed white blouse and that same quiet smile. I offered her a new title, Vivian said. Director of Guest Experience. The board stared. She knows people, Vivian added. And people matter. Gloria winked. Vivian walked out and left the boardroom in absolute stunned silence. Back in her penthouse she sat at the piano. The green crayon rested on the music stand. She didn't move it. Instead, she reached for a blank sheet of staff paper and wrote, Dino Day, a theme for the loud ones. The piece was gentle, not technical, but joyful. It began with light chords like footsteps on marble, then opened into a childlike melody that danced, soared, tripped, then stood again. Vivian played it once, then twice, and on the third time she cried. The gala was set for Friday, Reiss Holdings' annual visionary night. Usually champagne, hard suits, harder egos. This year, color, art, a string quartet, a kids' choir, and one special guest performer, Vivian herself. She sat at her desk and wrote 2 invitations by hand. One for Leo, one for Max, each sealed with a green sticker shaped like a dinosaur. Inside Max's card. You once gave me a castle. Now I want to show you what you helped build. Dress code. Dinosaurs welcome. Inside Leo's. I'll be playing again. Thanks to you. Please don't let me forget the melody. She sent them both with Gloria. And waited. Friday arrived. The ballroom sparkled. The stage was set. Cameras ready. Guests seated. Vivian paced behind the curtain, hands shaking slightly. She'd faced press, mergers, lawsuits. But this was different. This was personal. Then Gloria appeared. They're here. Vivian turned. Both. Gloria smiled. One wearing a tux. The other wearing a tail. Vivian laughed. Full. Free. Unafraid. She stepped on stage to polite applause. Sat at the piano. Paused. Then looked into the crowd. Max waved furiously. Leo smiled. Vivian smiled back. And played. The ballroom was still. Not silent but reverent. Hundreds of guests, investors, partners, employees. All watching the same woman they once feared. Vivian Reiss sat at the grand piano beneath a single spotlight. Her emerald dress shimmered like leaves under moonlight. The green crayon rested gently beside the sheet music. She exhaled. And began. The first notes floated like memory. Soft. Tentative. As if testing the air. Then gradually the melody bloomed, bright, playful, unexpected. The theme of Dino Day. It wasn't classical. It wasn't polished. It was something far rarer. It was honest. Vivian's fingers danced across the keys. Each phrase capturing a new piece of a world she'd once built with walls, and now rebuilt with color. The middle section slowed, echoing the loneliness of silence. Then a shift. A crescendo. A surge of joy. The music invited the listener to smile. To remember that wonder didn't belong to childhood alone. In the second row, Gloria wiped a tear. In the back, a Wall Street reporter slowly lowered his camera, no longer interested in scandal, only story. And in the fourth row center, a boy with wild curls sat on the edge of his seat, whispering to himself, "That's our song." Then it happened. Max jumped up, ran straight toward the stage. Gasps rippled through the room. Security moved too late. But Vivian didn't flinch. She looked up mid-phrase, saw him, and smiled. She nodded just once. Max climbed the steps, careful but determined, reached her, whispered, "Can I play the last note?" Vivian shifted sideways on the bench. "Made room. Always." She lifted her hands for the final phrase, guided his fingers, and together they played the closing chord. Not perfectly, not cleanly, but beautifully. For a moment no one clapped. No one breathed. Then a standing ovation. Not for power, not for precision, but for the queen who let down her crown and found something far more powerful. Vivian stood, took Max's hand. They bowed. Then she looked toward the crowd. Found Leo. Their eyes locked. He moved forward slowly. Camera flashes popped like fireworks. He stepped onto the stage, took her hand, squeezed. Vivian didn't speak. She didn't need to. Her entire empire was watching. And for the first time she didn't care. She was exactly where she was supposed to be. Backstage, Leo handed her a small envelope. "What's this?" she asked. "Max wanted you to have it." Inside, a crayon drawing. Vivian and Max at the piano. He labeled it in wobbly block letters. "Queen Boss and her sidekick," she smiled. Folded it carefully. Slipped it into her clutch. Where it belonged. Outside the ballroom, reporters swarmed. What inspired the piece? Was this planned? Is the boy yours? Vivian paused, turned, faced the flashing lights. "No," she said. "He's not mine." She looked at Max. Then Leo. "But I'm his." The headlines changed overnight. Queen Boss rewrites the score. Vivian Reiss breaks tradition and hearts with gala performance. From CEO to composer. The Vivian Reiss redemption arc, but Vivian wasn't reading. She was helping Max brush cereal off a dinosaur figurine. He dropped it in the milk. Twice. Leo sipped coffee in the corner, watching them like they were the last good sitcom on Earth. Vivian glanced up. "You're staring." Leo grinned. "Trying to figure out which one of you is the Messier child." Max raised his hand. "It's me." Vivian nodded. "At least he's honest." Back at Rice Holdings, something unexpected happened. Employees started taping drawings to their desks. Photos of their kids. Quotes from their families. Someone placed a post-it on the break room fridge. "Don't forget to roar." Max, no one took it down. Not even security. On Thursday, Vivian walked into the office with Max by her side. Not hiding him. Not excusing him. Introducing him. "This is Max," she told a group of startled interns. "He'll be helping me review the new downtown site plans." Max beamed. "I like tall buildings. And tall cookies." Laughter rippled across the room. One intern whispered, "That's the kid from the gala." Another said, "She brought him here?" "She brought herself here," someone else replied. That afternoon she made a call. "Hi, yes. I'd like to visit the private section." The cemetery gate attendant paused. "Any special occasion?" "Yes," she said. "It's time." The grave was nestled under a willow tree. Simple. Elegant. Like the woman it honored. Vivian stood in silence, Max by her side, holding a small paper in both hands. "This is her," he whispered. Vivian nodded. "My mother." Max looked at the stone. "She gave you music?" "She gave me everything." Vivian knelt, ran her fingers over the engraving. "Did you sing with her?" Max asked. "Once," Vivian said. "Before the silence came." Max frowned. "I don't like silence." "I didn't either," she whispered. Then Max stepped forward, unfolded the paper, placed it gently at the foot of the grave. It was a drawing. Vivian at the piano, Max beside her, and a woman with kind eyes watching from behind the moon. At the bottom, "Grandma, thanks for the music." Vivian blinked hard. Max leaned against her side. Leo stood a few steps away, giving them space. Then quietly, He walked over and placed a single green crayon beside the drawing. No one spoke, but something settled in the air. Not sadness, not grief, something older, something like peace. That night they walked home under city lights. Max skipped ahead, humming his Dino Day song. Leo fell in step beside her. "You okay?" he asked. Vivian nodded. "Lighter. You've changed." She smiled. "Not enough to start baking." "God no. Let's not go that far." They laughed. Then Leo took her hand. No fanfare. No flashbulbs. Just fingers finding fingers. Vivian looked at him. "Is this real?" she asked. Leo squeezed gently. "It is if we keep choosing it." They walked the rest of the way hand in hand, their shadows stretching long behind them. At the door Max turned and said, "Tomorrow's Monday." Vivian grinned. "I know. Dino Day. Always." It started like every Dino Day. Max in pajamas, dinosaur print of course, building a pillow fortress in the middle of Vivian's penthouse. Crayons everywhere. Leo at the baby grand, casually playing a jazzy version of the Dino Day theme. Vivian barefoot sipping tea. Smiling like this had always been her life. Like skyscrapers were just side quests. This was the real empire. Max stood atop the pillow pile, arms wide. "This is the new HQ for Queen Boss." Vivian clapped. "What's our first decree?" He grinned. "Mandatory snack breaks every 15 minutes. Leo nodded. "Now that's policy I can follow." Max leapt down and crawled to the coffee table where his crayons waited. "I'm drawing our flag." Vivian joined him. "What colors?" "Green for dinosaurs. Gold for your hair. Black for power. Blue for love." Vivian paused. "Blue for?" "Love," Max said simply. "It's calm and forever." She touched the blue crayon. "That's perfect." The doorbell rang. Vivian opened it to find Gloria holding a small envelope. "Mail for you," she said, winking. "From someone with big handwriting and a bigger imagination." Vivian opened it. Inside, a letter in purple marker. "Dear Ms. Reiss, my name is Tia. I go to music class now because of your castle money. I wrote a song for my dog. One day I want to build a building like you, or maybe a playground. Love, Tia," age 7 at the bottom. A drawing of Vivian with a tiara and blue dress, holding hands with kids. Vivian sat down slowly. Max peeked at the letter. "Is she in our kingdom?" Vivian smiled. "She is now." Later that evening Leo played a lullaby. Vivian sang. Max twirled in circles, giggling. "I'm the melody." Vivian's voice was soft, clear. No stage. No pressure. Just home. The lyrics weren't complex. Just memories turned into music. When the last note faded, Max curled on the couch, blanket pulled to his chin. "Queen Boss." "Yes, sir." He blinked up. "Are we a family?" Vivian looked at Leo. He looked at her. She returned to Max's side, brushed a curl from his cheek. "We're more than that," she whispered. "We're everything." Max smiled. "Even the noisy parts?" "Especially those." He closed his eyes. Vivian stayed there, listening to his breathing slow. Outside the skyline shimmered. The city she built. But this time the tallest thing in her world wasn't a tower. It was a pillow fort. With a flag drawn in blue.